Quiet down. We're in a museum housing Marvel's finest. You heard that right. We've always known these characters as villains, but from a different angle, the story you see in the films is only surface level for some of them. Today we're going to dive deep into that story. 1. Magneto, the history repeats itself guy. Remember Eric Lensher as a young man. He's separated from his family, endures tremendous pain, and then that unforgettable scene happens. He bends the metal gate and screams. And in that moment, Magneto is born. In the films, Magneto is introduced as Charles Xavier's old friend. To Charles Xavier, Magneto is the villain. Think of a chessboard with a two-way arrow between them. For everything he's done, Magneto says he did it for mutant kind survival. Whatever his experiences and goals may be, does all of this make him a good man? Write your thoughts. In the comics, Magneto has always stood by mutant kind. Even if we don't always agree with his methods, the man has a point. In the 2014 Axis storyline, Red Skull transplants Xavier's brain into himself and establishes a concentration camp for mutants on the island of Genosha. When Magneto learns of this, he goes there and battles Red Skull. That scene is both terrifying and understandable. In that moment, you fully grasp why this man fights. In the comics, Magneto's role has evolved over the years from supervillain to anti-hero and even superhero. He has at times joined the X-Men and even led Xavier's school. 2. Thanos, Avengers Infinity War. Thanos snaps his fingers and half the universe ceases to exist. Thanos says he didn't do it for pleasure. He has convinced himself he is a good man. How? Thanos explains that he personally witnessed his home planet Titan's destruction from overpopulation and resource depletion. To save every corner of the universe from the same fate, he implements this solution to balance resources. So basically what this man is saying is, resources are finite, suffering is inevitable, I'm just doing the math. Is he wrong? Absolutely. Because making this decision unilaterally, without allowing any planet to find its own solution, is unacceptable. But Thanos sees himself as a good man. After the snap, he peacefully watches the sky from his farm. And despite possessing the stones to control the entire universe, after using them, he destroys them. The contradiction of saying his true goal was never power, yet believing himself a hero deep down, is striking. And here's the most tragic part. Even after all his attempts to wipe out the universe, we still see Thanos was right graffiti in the Hawkeye series. In the comics, this part is very important. The comics' Thanos' motivation is very different from the MCU's. Behind his desire to destroy half the universe isn't resource balance. It's his obsessive love for a cosmic entity called Lady Death. Thanos carries out this destruction to impress Death, offering her a gift on a universal scale. Death, however, never reciprocates. It's a one-sided love story. So the comics, Thanos destroys half the universe. Pick your side. Which version do you think is better, MCU or comics? 3. Killmonger. The moment Eric Killmonger walks on screen, half the audience switches to his side. He lost his father at a young age. He grew up with enormous anger. After years of nurturing that rage, when he discovers Wakanda, he feels both pride and fury. Such an advanced civilization could have changed the fate of the world. With that conviction, he decides to open Wakanda to the world. To him, Wakanda's self-isolation was selfish. His thinking was, if Wakanda had the resources, why didn't it help the world? But then, Killmonger takes the throne. And you immediately understand, this man isn't fighting for freedom, he's fighting for revenge against his own pain. Are you among those who think the same? Do you think he's a good man with those beliefs? Or is he a bad one? In the comics Killmonger doesn't come from Oakland. He comes from Wakanda itself. The biggest difference added in the film, in the comics, he has no family connection to T'Challa. That detail created in the film doesn't appear in the comics at all. His motivation in the comics is more straightforward, a desire for revenge against T'Chaka, whom he holds responsible for the exile and death of his family. He has targeted Wakanda and its economy multiple times, taken the throne more than once, and been defeated more than once. So there's an interesting situation here. The comics Killmonger is less sympathetic. The MCU made him more human, more relatable. This is a rare case where the film actually improved the character. Which version do you think is better, comics or MCU? 4. Namor. The moment that image is burned into all our minds, when he rises from the sea and confronts Queen Ramonda, the film's tone shifts. This isn't a villain entrance, it's a negotiation. Producer Nate Moore describes Namor this way. He doesn't want to rule the world for power. He doesn't want money. He wants to protect his people. In the film, the real force Namor stands against isn't Wakanda or Talokan. It's colonialism and the Western world's desire to dominate resources. In that scene, when Namor surfaces to bury his mother and discovers his people have been taken captive, and the reaction it provokes, is one of the best written scenes in the film. Do all that he has lived through and his desire to protect his kingdom make him a good man? Do you think Namor was a wonderful addition to the MCU? What do you think? In the comics, Namor debuted in Marvel Comics #1 in 1939, making him one of Marvel's oldest characters. He is considered the first anti-hero in comic book history. In the comics, Namor oscillates between being a good-natured but quick-tempered superhero and a hostile invader seeking revenge against the surface world. He has been both ally and enemy to the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men. The film's Namor stands against colonialism. The comics' Namor operates within a broader context of environment, power, pride, and cosmic conflict. Both are different interpretations of the same character. 5. Doctor Octopus. In Spider-Man 2 and No Way Home, Otto Octavius begins as a well-meaning scientist trying to develop a sustainable energy source for the benefit of humanity. The experiment goes terribly wrong. His wife loses her life, and the artificial intelligence of his mechanical arms begins to take over his mind. This is literally the story of a man who wanted to be human, but was defeated by technology. And that hits different. Alfred Molina describes the character this way. Doc Ock becomes a villain, but it happens almost accidentally, not by choice. In the comics, Doc Ock, on the verge of death in the Dying Wish storyline, switches minds with Peter Parker and takes on the identity of the superior Spider-Man, trying to prove he can be a better Spider-Man than Peter. This period is told across a 33-issue comic series. The biggest difference between the film and the comics: in the film, Otto is a mentor figure to Peter. That emotional weight makes his fall much more tragic. In the comics, this mentor relationship doesn't exist. Their bond begins in a far more antagonistic way. Which is the better drawn character? Watch the film, then read the comics, and be surprised. 6. Vulture. In Spider-Man Homecoming, look, this story is so realistic and so relatable to ordinary people. Spider-Man series are beloved for exactly this reason. Heroes struggling with poverty, Spider-Men are loved because they're everyday people, using torn bags and broken glasses. As Tony Stark once said, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Honestly, that's what I loved about this one too. We're all used to villains with grand ambitions, but what about villains who just want to pick up the crumbs? That's exactly what this story is. After the Avengers battled aliens to save the city, we probably all wondered what happened to the debris left behind. That's where Adrian Toomes comes in, a small-time contractor brought in to clean up the wreckage. He lands a government contract to clear the debris the Avengers left in New York. He's built a business, he has a crew, everything is going fine. Then, Damage Control, a joint venture between Tony Stark and the government, arrives and takes the site away from him. When Bestman Salvage loses its livelihood to Damage Control, Toomes makes the wrong choice and sells what's left on the black market. He steals and sells alien technology, yes, but in every scene, he's a father, a husband, a homeowner. And that car scene, going to prom with Peter, realizing mid-ride who he is, that silence, that look, literally cinema history. That scene might feel familiar. Vulture's actions are largely driven by love for his family. When he figures out Spider-Man's identity, he's even willing to let him go. So the real question is, do all these justifications make him a good man? Write it in the comments. In the comics, here's an interesting twist. The original comics Vulture is a far less sympathetic character. Yes, He was cheated by a business partner, but his response is portrayed as bitter and devoid of empathy for anyone. So again, this is a case where the film improved the character. Homecoming's Vulture is far more human than the comics version. Michael Keaton brought this role to life, and because of that, Vulture is now counted among the best written antagonists in Marvel film history.